Hi, come on in.
And join in. It's the Very Merry Life. Hi, I'm Mary Hendricks, and you might know me as that relatable AF Mama over on Instagram who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, it won't be long till it feels that way as we get raw, unfiltered, and very unapologetic in all things motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. From moments worth savoring to moments worth surviving, get ready to leave feeling seen and supported. You have a friend here now, so hey, take a seat. What's going on?
Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
Hello. I'm excited. It's Friday night currently for everyone listening, and I have tea. I don't know if you have anything.
I have
with
water.
Yeah, it's all right.
Boring.
But here's the thing. I wasn't in the mood for a beverage, an alcoholic beverage tonight, but
it is always tomorrow.
Well, yeah, probably. My mom's birthday's tomorrow, so we'll be getting a little up there. I can't do that. I do that sometimes. I do hand motions like that, and I'm like, oh.
That doesn't, did you see that meme where it's like, it's holding a penis season? I laughed way too hard at that.
See, that's my life. I do like little dance moves sometimes. And I'm like, oh God, I did one to my mom on Thanksgiving and I tried recording it and then she yelled at me, but I told her, I said, do you know, you could try this for Christmas. I said, did you know that if you shake an invisible salt shaker in your mouth, you can actually taste the salt?
Mary.
And she was like, what? So you do it. She's like,
amazing.
She's like, this is stupid. This is stupid. And finally she's like, get it out of here.
This is phenomenal. Wow. We're off to a good start. That's amazing.
I'm going to have to share that on my stories tomorrow, just to like give everyone an idea for what to do with their family is
absolutely
invisible salt shake right in your mouth. Yay. Okay. Well, so obviously this is Andrea, everyone listening. She is the co-host today with me. And again, this is Taboo Tuesday, new thing I'm starting. And we're going to be talking taboo subjects in either marriage, motherhood, sex. And the ones that we're going to be talking today, and Andrea, I'm going to have you introduce yourself in a second, is self-care. And then we're going to dive a little bit more into that just because Andrea, she will explain in a second, has background and that she can help walk us through. So you will be learning something today as well, if you're listening. And then we're just going to break down, the taboo nature of taking care of yourself, but also when it comes to certain things in self-care, such as injectables and Botox and filler and just certain things that really, there's a stigma with a lot of it. And, we're going to hopefully ease your minds and break shit down because that's what these days are for. And it's just fun. So with that being said, Andrea, say hello, tell everyone about yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea and I have been a licensed esthetician for over 18 years. And so during lovely COVID times, I lost my job and I started a skincare blog on Instagram. And the love that I have for the aesthetics field, so skincare, treatments, injectables, all the things related to skincare and aesthetics is such a love and it's such a passion of mine. And I have dedicated really my whole career in helping to educate people on how to take care of their skin the right way, pick the right products, fix things that they have been bothered with for X amount of time. Skin is huge, right? Skin, it's the largest organ on our body. Our skin on our face, it's the first thing that you see. You see somebody's face the first time you meet them. And if somebody's going through something with their skin, it can be crippling. So one of my biggest things was just helping people. So after I lost my job, I started my skincare blog on Instagram and I wanted to keep doing that. I wanted to keep helping people, but on a virtual level because everything was virtual then. Nobody was getting facials. Nobody was being touched like that, during COVID. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to continue my education. I'm going to continue to help people. And I started doing virtual skincare consultations in 2021, helping people virtually. And really, like you said, taboos, busting myths, really getting down to the nitty gritty of what skincare should be.
Yeah.
Not what we see on the Instagram, not what we see in the magazines, or, you go up and down the aisles of Target or Marshall's or Sephora. It's confusing.
Oh
It's
yeah.
extremely confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, most people just look at it and they're like, I don't know what the heck to get. I don't even know what kind of skin I have.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of come in.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. I do the virtual skincare consultations, like I said, and I started doing digital marketing for other aesthetic businesses around the country. So I've got my toe dipped in all sorts of places.
I
But
love it.
skincare has always been a passion.
Yeah. Well, and I love it. And I think it's needed because I mean, we had a question box up on my stories
Yes.
and the questions that came in are just, there's a ton of them, but it's
Amazing questions, you guys.
yeah, it was, and it's questions that and I cover this a lot. I work a lot with skincare brands on my stories and stuff. And it's because they reach out to me because they know that I'm constantly looking for a product. And you should see my medicine cabinet. We've had a virtual, we've had a virtual sit down when I was pregnant. Things were a little different, but I have a bunch of stuff that like a lot of the skincare that I learned is what I learned from my mom and what my mom knew. She learned from her mom, and it's old school. A lot of it's old school. And like
and we're going to go into that. We're going to go into the old school stuff too.
Yeah. Like where it
unlearning things that we have been taught.
Yeah.
From other generations.
It doesn't make any sense. And the other side of it that's frustrating is I'm 32. I don't know how old you are.
37.
Okay, well, you look fucking badass. So regardless, but we're in our 30s.
Yes.
We're millennials. We're, good old millennials. But it is hard because I feel like, especially like on TikTok and Instagram and places like that, we are constantly getting flooded with skincare. Mm-hmm. And I'll even say with myself, I've had decent skin majority of my life. I've had that luck of not having really dealt with much other than like the occasional pimple. So for me to review skincare may not work if someone is coming to my page and has completely different skin or completely different history. And what I'm finding on social media is a lot of these big influencers are in their early 20s.
Girl. Preach.
And they have, some of them keep filters on. Some of them are probably similar like me, where they don't have the background or they haven't been through pregnancy yet and have dealt with the things that are attributed to that. Like, it's hard to know what to trust because you see these people with the perfect skin and you're like, okay, well, if I use this, that's what I'm going to get. And yet if I use that, sometimes that's going to like completely make your skin freak the F out.
Absolutely.
Then you're just lost. And then you're like me and you have no idea.
No, and but that's okay. I mean, everybody's skin is so different, and same thing. Like I will see, influencers promoting certain skincare brands, which they are paid to do so, right? That's their job. That's their bread and butter. There's no shade at that. Yeah. The problem is exactly what you said. The problem is that they're using it. They have filters on, which that really grinds my gears, where I'm like, sister, you have a filter on. What is happening? Yeah. And you're promoting skincare. It doesn't make sense to me, Well,
and it's hard. And like, I know for me, when I work with certain beauty companies, one of the things that I always ask, especially when it comes to skincare, I don't want just a one-off collaboration with them. And if is a one-off collaboration, I'm not going to review it as in terms of what this is doing for my skin, because chances are, and for background, like, cause I'm always very transparent about this and what things I've learned, cause I didn't go into this to be like an influencer. I just kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
What I've learned is a lot of these companies will send you shit about a week or two before, and then they want a quick turnaround. So you had unless it was something that I have, like, what do I have? I have CeraVe. I've been using CeraVe for years.
Yep.
So unless I reached out to them and did that, like, that would be me, but you don't know that. Like you wouldn't know that unless I could have just bought this bottle today and say that but I've used this for years, and you don't know if the influencer's actually being authentic or not. Right. And you get a 2-week turnaround time. And if they're coming on saying like, my skin looks clear and glowy and things like that, like, I doubt that's taking 2 weeks. Because I know you say it yourself, it takes time. Like, it takes time for your skin to adjust and show results.
It takes time. And sometimes it takes a decent amount of time. And, on my Instagram, I make reels primarily, and I'm ridiculous. I I try to be funny, and I try to be silly, and I poke fun at myself because life is too short. Why take life so serious,
Yep. Yep.
But a lot of times I will make reels about, why is this taking so long? Or why is this taking forever? Well, you just bought it.
Yeah.
It's taken your skin X amount of time to get to where it is right now. It's not going to change in a week.
Yeah.
It's not going to change in 2 weeks. It's probably going to change in about a month and a half, depending on your state of skin at this very moment. It literally takes time, and depending on what you're using and what kind of skin you have. So it's very frustrating when it comes to things like that, because, in the wonderful world of Instagram, we follow all sorts of people and we get inspired, right? We get inspired by fitness, home decor, fashion, mommy things.
Yeah.
Right? We get inspired by stuff, and we see these people that we really like, and I want skin like her. I want to be like her. I want to really, no. I did a story the other day. I just was showing like my kitchen, like the counters were clean.
Yeah.
I was like, this is not an Instagram house. And then I went to the playroom, and it was like, it was just like,
yeah.
Nobody's perfect. So we have to give ourselves some grace.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I even talked about it because I shared a reel, and it was different where I shared, and it was, if, I've gotten a DM before, I've gotten a message before from someone who works for a certain company that right after I had each of my babies saying like, hey, join me and lose the baby weight.
Oh yes. I remember.
And so it was a white chicks like audio of me like slapping my baby in the mirror.
Yes.
But someone had messaged me, and it broke my heart because she was like, this is the third or second reel I've seen you do about postpartum body acceptance. And she said, I'll paraphrase it, but she basically said, you're thin and you don't have any fat. And yet there are people like me. And if you're having a hard time accepting your body, that must mean that I'm disgusting. And basically she said, I feel worse seeing that. And I completely understood where she was getting from, because I've been there, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And especially it broke my heart because I'm like, that is a direct result for the shit that we have just piled into us to like think that that's, that there's an ideal with anything.
Yeah. 100%.
And then there was different of being, anyone can complain no matter how you look. Like you can have the perfect skin, the perfect everything. You're allowed to complain. So that's another thing that I didn't even argue that against her. I wasn't even I didn't argue anything with the girl that said that to me. But I was talking about comparison afterwards, and I was like, it's so hard because you do that on Instagram. You see people, and what I've come to learn is I am done comparing to certain things. It'd be nice. Like, if you see people with money or
hell yeah.
But I don't look at people with money and be like, I want that for like all the things I could buy.
Right.
I want it for the stress. Like I want it for the stress-free. And I'm trying to compare a feeling that I would like. And that's where I get caught up, and I have to kind of check myself and be like, okay, take a look at your life then. Like, what are you stressing about and what can you fix, as opposed to like just constantly viewing that like we're constantly like pinning our inward versus someone's outward, and same.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the whole thing, like body image, right? Body image issues, body positivity, being comfortable in your own skin all day long, 100%. And a lot of that goes into our skin, skin positivity. Because you have acne, or because you have acne scars, because you have whatever you've got going on, does not define you as a person. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It does not mean you're disgusting.
No.
But it also doesn't mean you're a bad person because you want to fix things to make yourself feel better.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because that's another big thing where even so then last week or something, someone had said, I shared an old reel of mine from like 2.5 years ago. And I've been asked before, and I think it was the granny panty reel that I once did
Oh, yes,
years
yes.
ago. And my hair was shorter and I was much thinner. And also someone said, like, you just look different. And I said, it's probably because my lips have been filled. And like, there's weight on me now. And not that I'm saying that in a good way. Like
Absolutely.
I enjoy
Yes.
that in a good thing. I was unhealthy back then, but I got lip filler and like things like that. And some people misread what I wrote and they said, don't get lip filler. You don't need it. And I'm like, too late. That's already saying me with it. But they're
But
like,
also
no,
2 years ago, who doesn't look different from 2 years ago?
no, but, and it
Lip
was
filler or
comments
not?
no, and it's hard to share because even when the time comes that I can get lip filler again and Botox again, which will happen soon,
Yeah.
freaking soon.
Come on, Haley, let's go. Be done.
I need Haley off. Haley's still breastfeeding. I thought she was done, but she's not.
Rude.
I plan on getting it again, but I have to hesitate for a second when I share it to my stories because I know I'm going to get shit.
We'll be back after a quick break. Eye-Opening Moments podcast are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
Mm-hmm. Which is so interesting to me because I feel like the stigma to getting injectables has gotten better over maybe the past like 5 years or so. It has definitely, people talk about it more. People are like, oh yeah, I get the tox, or I get Dysport, I get, whatever. But there are still that group of people that are like, oh my God, no, why would you do that? Because I want to.
Yeah. Anti-aging. It's not anti-aging. You're supposed to get older. And like, no one's saying that. Like,
Nobody.
Yeah.
But then there's a phrase called reverse aging.
Yeah.
Where we're going backwards.
All right.
Reverse aging.
Yeah.
Right? A little twist.
Yeah.
But at the same time, us getting things done, us getting laser, us getting Botox, us using good skincare affects nobody else.
Yeah.
But us, because we want to.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel good, and I've told this to people. I also do makeup. Part of being an esthetician, you're also a makeup artist. So throughout my career, when I would do makeup for people, match them, try new things for them, I have this color eye. You're not supposed to wear this color eyeshadow and this and that. I go, who said that?
Yeah.
Well, you're not, you should. I go, no. If it looks good on you and you like it and you're comfortable, wear it.
Yeah.
So my mom is a redhead. And they say
Pink.
Redheads aren't supposed to wear pink.
Yeah.
My mom looks foxy in pink. Like she is amazing. Like she looks so good in pink when she does the pink and the mauve eyeshadow, when she's pink and pink lips. Why? But she's not supposed to wear pink? No, do what makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like these rules. There's rules. No, there's no. Don't be an asshole. There's a rule.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's too, like some people, like I know when I've got my lip filler, like when I've told people that, they're like, wait, you had lip filler? Like I would have never known. I'm like, that's the point. Like
that's the whole point.
You can get this stuff done and not, I think because we've gotten so, we've seen it. I've seen it. You see people who do.
Girl, I've seen it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important thing. And that's why I've shared it before where I'm like, you have to go somewhere good that your esthetician is just as responsible for your results as you are. So like, if I were to go in today and tell my girl to go pump me up, she would tell me no.
Perfect. That's the kind of injector that you want.
Yes. Like you want someone that's going to look at you and be like, you don't need it. Like I will do what is naturally fitting of your face and not overboard.
Right. I've gotten Botox and filler and laser before. I've done it all, almost all. And And people have said the same thing to me, like even throughout my career, they're like, oh my God, you don't need Botox. And I'm like, but I have it right now.
Yeah, that's why you're
But
saying I don't need it. It's because I have it.
because I have it. But that's the whole point. People think that if you start getting injections, you're just going to look like, a blowfish.
Yeah.
I mean,
You could if you don't.
you absolutely could. If you go injector hopping,
yeah,
go to this injector and then a couple months later go to another injector, then
it's addicting. So fair warning, it is a little addicting. So
I mean, yeah. Because you're seeing yourself on an improvement, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily I'm looking at myself going, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. I need to fix this and I need to fix that. No. Again, doing what makes you happy and what's making you feel comfortable. You're doing it for yourself and nobody else. You should never do something for anybody else. You should only do it for yourself. Yep. And as women and as mothers, we have to do things for ourselves. We have to, whether it's going and getting a pedicure, perusing the mall by yourself.
Yeah.
Go get a facial. Yeah, girl, get some Botox. Because your children are probably giving you what the fuck lines.
Yeah.
And you need to and you want to soften that a little bit. Yeah. And that's okay. Taking time for yourself is so incredibly important. But when it comes to aesthetics, we have to get rid of those taboos and we have to get rid of those myths, because self-care isn't just, getting a massage or just going for a walk in the park. Self-care is so many different things. And by you going and tackling a good skincare routine, because it's something that you've just wanted to do for a long time, that is self-care. That is taking time for yourself to feel better. Yes, it's products and it's on the inside, but the mental shift that you will have when you see like, oh my gosh, my skin is softer. That's what I wanted, or my skin is just so much brighter. I'm glowing. You're happy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't you want other people to be happy?
Yeah.
Happiness is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's just the taboo nature of self-care. It's just,
Absolutely.
we view it as a selfish thing. Like babies, our kids come first. We come and our families come first. Everyone comes first except for moms. And I know for me at a time, it was almost seen as a badge of honor. Like the most tired and run down you are was almost like the mark of a good mom. Like where it was like, like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just a really good mom because I'm taking care of everyone. And yet I feel miserable and tapped out and like, no one cares about me. And it just like, it's a terrible, terrible feeling, but I care about me. So why wasn't I doing it?
Absolutely. Because when you don't care for yourself, how are you able to care for other people the best of your ability? Yeah. You can't. You're going to be resentful. You're going to hold grudges. And like, I mean, I don't want to hold a grudge against, my husband. I don't want to hold a grudge against my kids. Like, that's stupid. Yeah. But we have to take care of ourselves. And if that is as little as buying a serum that you've wanted to buy for months, buy the damn serum. Yeah. Schedule the consultation because it's something that you've been really thinking about. Is it something that we quote unquote need? No, but if it's something that resonates with you and you've been wanting to try, then do it. I have a funny story, but a beautiful message. Yeah. So I am a waxer. As an esthetician, you wax. Yep. So you name it, I've waxed it. I love your reels, by the way, when you go get Brazilians. It makes my day.
I haven't done one of those in a while. Oh my God. That was an adventure. I got pregnant right afterwards and I was grizzly looking a little bit, literally down there. And I texted my girl.
Brazilian got you pregnant.
Right, probably. It was right after that. But I texted her. I was like, hey, can I come in? And I was like very pregnant. She's like, absolutely not. She said, you were going to be in so much pain if I wax you right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood flow going on down there.
And it had been a while. It would have been like my first wax all over again. She's like, no way in hell.
I've waxed like women that are like, they're due the next week. And I'm like, you're going to be a little sensitive because there's a lot going on down there. But so I had a client, for privacy terms, we'll call her Cindy. Cindy came in for a consultation and right afterwards for a Brazilian.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, it's, a very common people, it's scary. So she comes in. So Cindy is easily in her 70s, like probably late 70s. So we sit down. I'm like, so Cindy, tell me what brings you in today. And she was like, well, I've always been curious about getting a Brazilian wax. I used to do bikini waxes when I was younger, but I've always just been curious about a Brazilian. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, go Cindy. It's your birthday.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, perfect. So I gave her the rundown and everything. I go, it's going to be similar to a bikini wax, but we're going to be taking everything. If you're okay with that, we can proceed. Gave her all the ins and outs, no pun intended. So I'm waxing and we're chit-chatting, and she was a travel agent. So she's retired and she was a travel agent. So she was traveling all pre-COVID, traveling all over the world. And, we get to talking and stuff. And she goes, I've taken the company of a younger gentleman too.
Ooh.
And I'm like, Cindy. In my mind, of course.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, good for you, live your life. And she says, yeah, because, since he is younger, I don't know how much younger. She goes, that, this type of stuff is expected, like getting a Brazilian.
Yeah.
And I went, okay. So I kind of stopped and I said, nothing is expected. Getting a Brazilian wax is not expected for anything, whether you're dating, whether you're married. I said, I'm so happy that you came in. I'm so thankful that I got the chance to meet you. And because she was telling me all sorts of, life things that she, was going through and stuff. I said, but I don't want you ever to think that you have to do something.
Yeah.
You wanted to do it. You were curious, curiosity killed the cat, and here you are.
Yep.
But you're not expected to do anything. No. And she was like, oh, okay. I said, as long as he's getting it, he won't care.
Oh, God.
They don't care. So it was just one of those like, no, I don't want poor Cindy. I didn't want her feeling like she had to do that for somebody else. We do things for ourselves because we want to, and it's going to make us happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was so sweet, and she ended up coming in several more times, and we just had just a lovely little friendship. And then I hadn't seen her for probably like a year. And she came in and picked up skincare, and her hair was really, really short. And she actually had cancer.
Oh.
So that's why she wasn't able to come in anymore. But, she was like, I always thought about our conversation that we had. I'm like, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So
it's easy. It's easy to forget. Like, I know when I got Botox the first time, I got it at the dermatology office. Like, I went to a dermatology office and they did it there, which I was glad because that was like the first time ever. And I was like so intimidated by it, thinking I was going to.
It's a great place to get it for the first time. Definitely. Oh, hi.
Hi. You going to bed? Give me a kiss. Okay. Give me a kiss.
Hi, honey.
All right. All right. Okay, good night. Cass, can you close my door? All right. Well, interrupt.
We're talking about vaginas now. No. Close the door, Kev.
Good old crotches. All right.
Good old cooters,
Scary little things. Anyway, but I was going to say, when I got Botox for the first time, I got it. And I remember calling Kev afterwards, and I just had turned 30, I think. And I told him, he was like, why did you do that? And he was like, I don't want you getting Botox. Like, and I was like, well, that's the thing. It's not for you. I don't care what you want. I was like, I don't care what you want. I wanted it. And it made me happy. And same thing with the lips. Like, when I got my lips done, I was self-conscious about it. Like, I was starting to feel like it was something I wanted. Like, there are certain things that I want where it's like, it's almost the opposite, where I'm like, Kev doesn't care, but I almost like,
I don't.
It's the pressure to like, I'm trying to think of how I want to word this. It's the same pressure of like, when I do get it again, of sharing on social media, because of this whole, I'm a big body positivity person. I'm a big person that's about accepting yourself today and tomorrow. But accepting you're allowed to want to change yourself and love yourself all at the same exact time. Like you're allowed
Absolutely.
to do that. And I think people forget that when you say I love myself, doesn't mean I love myself for every little portion of myself. I love myself, but I don't like everything. So
Sure.
it's a base thing. And I think it's intimidating because you have to explain it to people because then they're like, wait, like I thought you loved
Wow.
yourself. Well,
Right.
dude.
But like the same person that's asking that, do they get their hair cut? Do they
Yeah,
wear
well, and
makeup?
that's the thing. Yeah, do you
Do
work
they
out?
color their hair?
Yeah.
Do they buy do they buy new clothes every once in a while?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's doing something that's altering your appearance, really, when you think about it. Coloring your hair, cutting your hair, getting extensions,
Yeah, putting makeup on.
putting makeup on, absolutely, getting your nails done.
Yeah.
That's something that's altering like your natural state of who you are, what you look like.
Yeah.
But I don't have to have these. I
No.
like them. They're pretty
Yeah.
and it makes me happy. And it's taking time for myself
Yeah.
to do something for myself.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, once a month.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, for me, I know like the big thing because Botox and filler and stuff like that can be expensive. So
Oh, sure.
that's another thing where people look at it from a financial position.
Absolutely.
They're like, how, like, one for me, it's the one big purchase I allow myself to do. And it's like a big deal because I'm not like that. So for me, I'm like, well, again, it's an investment. Like I'm investing in myself. So everyone has their things. Starbucks for some people.
Absolutely.
Botox.
Absolutely. And that I think that will lead us to one of the questions because somebody asked when you start it, and I'm assuming she's referring to injectables. When you start it, don't you feel you're committed? You have to keep getting it.
Oh, you have to keep going.
You have to keep going. I'm going to start out by saying I am not a doctor. I am not a nurse. I am not a provider that performs injectables. These are my findings and the education that I have gotten in my years in the field. So if you were to get Botox and you're like, I don't know, it's not for me, or, I wanted to try it once and I can't afford it anymore, there is literally zero commitment to getting it done. Yeah. Because what happens, you get it injected, it's in the muscle for X amount of months, however long it takes your body to metabolize it. And then your body metabolizes it. You're not going to have a saggy forehead. Therefore, you have to keep getting it done to lift the forehead. I mean, you had it done before you were pregnant.
Yeah, I haven't had it done. Yeah, I can do all this stuff, but I can't,
and you can never get it done if you want to ever again. Yeah. Like that, and that's your choice. There is no commitment. I mean, some people will get it done once or twice a year because that's what they can afford. And that's absolutely fine.
Well, and what people I don't think realize about what Botox does, it doesn't eliminate the wrinkles that you have. So it just eliminates it paralyzes the muscle essentially. So you're not making the big expressions that when you crease your forehead, like the wrinkles in your forehead, that over time, when you keep creasing it, you're going to create a wrinkle in your forehead.
You're going to get deeper
wrinkles. Yeah. It grows deeper and deeper. So it's proactive. Like most people I know are getting Botox starting at like 20 because they don't want the wrinkles to get deeper and deeper over time. I started doing it at 30. And I'm playing catch up essentially of just making sure what is there doesn't get worse. And it will, because I'm going to get older. Gravity will only do so much, but it's going to just like eliminate it a little bit. It's just going to kind of soften everything.
Yep. And thinking of it too as preventative care. And there was another question, when would you consider starting? When would be a good time to start? What age? I think the girl said, she's 26. Oh, where to start for wrinkle prevention? I'm 26. Well, first of all, girl, so happy that you want to take care of yourself and you want to take care of your skin. Now, wrinkle prevention can look different for everybody. It could mean getting Botox. And at 26, that's a fine time to get Botox. Now, some people don't want to until they're in their 30s. Yep. And that's okay too. I just made a reel about it. There's no set age that you have to wait to get it. Like some people are like, oh, you're not old enough to get it, or, oh, I'm not old enough to get it. There's no age. If you want to wait until you're 40, that's your prerogative. That's fine. But there's nothing that says that you have to. Preventative care means you're doing it early so it doesn't get, I don't want to use the term out of control, but so it doesn't get to the point where you're trying to like really
Reverse.
backtrack, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh my God, now I have to do all of this repairing, all of this rejuvenation, all of this stuff, because you've already kind of taken those steps to do so. But it's no different than putting a moisturizer on at night. You're preventing putting sunscreen on in the morning. You're preventing.
Yeah.
It's a different type of preventative care. So a perfect age to start getting injectables is the time that you're comfortable getting it done.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the first time I got Botox done, I was 26, I think.
Okay.
But then I didn't get it done for several more years.
Yeah.
But I was like, I kind of liked that.
Yeah.
And then I was getting it done on, I don't want to say a regular basis, but a semi-regular basis.
It
and
wasn't
now I get
done. Like for me, I waited till 30 only because I didn't know anyone else that was doing it. And it was taboo.
Right.
Like it was a taboo thing. So for me to get it at 30, it was because I went to a dermatology office. I was very afraid of like the show Botched is out. And so you think Botched and things of like that, where you're like, you're going to end up like a, and I was like, okay, whatever. So I waited, but had I known earlier, if I was 21 today, I probably would be getting it if I had the money. Like that's
sure. Oh yeah. I mean, money, what's money? It doesn't even matter. Right.
But had I been 21 now or whatever, like I probably would have started just again. It doesn't, Botox doesn't really alter anything. Again, it doesn't like, I have not seen one person think, oh, you definitely have Botox. Like you've seen someone when they have like did you see that girl that got Botox and her injector like screwed up? She went to a new injector and her eye, like that terrifies me. That terrifies me.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of leads into another question. Like, what are the risks? Are there any adverse reactions? So having a droopy eye or lazy eye, I mean, it can happen, but you have to go to the right person, first of all.
Yeah.
And you have to really follow the post-injection care instructions.
Yep.
You have to. I mean, there's a list of things that you are not supposed to do.
Yep.
So you really just have to follow the rules and don't do those things. Now, I don't know what that girl did, like if she went and got a facial like the following week.
I don't think so. I think when I read her story or when we were looking at, I think she went to a brand new injector and it was someone that like was a little bit cheaper. And it was just someone, she even admitted to it. She was like, it was just someone brand new and they injected, I think, underneath her eyebrow, as opposed to like, it was like something where they did it and it was really messed up. Like it was someone, she went to someone like inexperienced.
Sure.
I know like my dermatologist, when I got it done and she did it, like the first thing that she told me, and I go to a different girl now and she told me the same exact thing. She said, never go to someone, at like a party, like you could do that, but she said, be very careful at a party because sometimes it's a big thing. Right. No idea who's coming in. And some people like, I know in, the UK, like I have listeners all over the world, but in the UK, and I don't know if this is true anymore, but I know it did. I don't think in the UK, you have to have a medical degree to administer Botox and fillers and things like that. So anyone can do it essentially. So it's funky, but then also on the flip side, like here in America, I know my girl that does it now, she said, avoid dentists, like people that weren't specialized in this. Like, the girl that I originally did Botox with, she was my dermatologist, but she was a PA. So she, physician assistant, but she had trained under a plastic surgeon. So she was familiar with plastics and things like that. And she'd said, she's like, avoid Groupons, avoid and avoid
at all costs.
Yeah. And avoid people who did not make this their specialty. So like a dentist or things like that, you go in and they're trying to sell you, you hear horror stories with that, like dentists all of a sudden saying like, I can do a nose job on you. Because they have a medical degree. They can say they can do anything technically.
I mean, on paper you could, but I wouldn't want that necessarily.
No, but people don't know because they're looking for the price costs. So like
Absolutely.
if it sounds good, too good to be true.
Yep. Never group
probably is.
on it, never coupon it. The best way to find an injector that's going to do a good job is honestly ask around, like ask your friends, ask for recommendations. You can always go online and, you know, Google ones around you, look at the reviews. Of course, there's always going to be mixed reviews for everybody because there's always going to be, you know, a-holes that didn't get what they want. They wanted like big duck lips, and the injector said, no, you're not getting duck lips. And then they wrote a bad review. Anyway, I digress. But ask around, ask friends, ask your girlfriends.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of this taboo bullshit and talk about it. You know, I'm looking, you know, have you ever gotten Botox? Where do you go? That's the best way. Referrals is the best type of advertising. Absolutely.
Yeah, because and no one wants to do that because then they're ashamed. They're like,
Yeah.
you know, again,
get over it.
Yeah.
Who cares? Do it for you. Do what makes you happy. If you want a wrinkle-free forehead, sister, you're my kind of girl. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you don't, then fine. That's cool too.
And don't.
Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you'll live with the body that God gave you. I do. I am. Absolutely. But you know what? God made these doctors with brilliant brains to come up with amazing things to help people. And Botox helps people.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
So I'm going to call it as it is. God created Botox.
Well, he did, technically.
I mean, yeah, he absolutely did. Yeah. Absolutely.
The natural occurring thing. So yeah. Well, and I know that was another question that came in saying like safety because you're injecting, I think someone said like, I'm actually terrified of it because you're injecting something poison into.
Botulinum toxin.
Yes. That were true. And I'm just going to, again, we're not doctors, but do the research on 100%. This. If that were true, more people would be coming down with botulism.
Absolutely.
And so it's not happening.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I do not perform these services. These are my findings after working in the field for a cajillion years. So that a vial of Botox, it has to be diluted.
No.
If it's not, I mean, then you're probably going to have some issues. Honestly, I did some research myself and I found that from the year 1989 to 2003, there were 36 recorded like adverse reactions, like maybe allergic reactions from 1989 to 2003. There were 36. Now it could be they're just allergic to it, right? It could be a number of different things. But as far as getting a weird reaction, adverse reaction, it is absolutely incredibly rare. But go to somebody that is reputable. Go to somebody that you know. If there is a case where you have a reaction, you're in good hands.
Yeah.
But the chances of that happening, honestly, are so extremely rare. I've never had any issues before, really with anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you know your risk. I mean, if I would assume if you're probably someone who has a vast array of allergies, then maybe just tread lightly. Obviously, they're going to ask you these things.
Yep.
They're going to tell you if there's any contraindications and things like that. But
and there are some contraindications, and that is obviously, talked about and consulted about prior to the treatment. One of my best friends, we joke, I'm allergic to everything. And she is like, you look at her the wrong way and she like gets a welt, or she gets a hive or she gets red. She has unbelievably like ridiculously sensitive skin.
Yeah.
And obviously being an esthetician, her and I, trying to find, what works best for her. She has found what has worked for her, which is great. And she was looking into doing some toxin, and she was just like, oh my God, it's going to be me. I'm going to be the one that's going to have the reaction. I'm like, you'll be fine. She's totally fine.
Yeah.
And she's literally allergic to everything.
Well, Botox is FDA approved, isn't it?
It's been FDA approved for like a cajillion years.
Yeah. I mean, some people will say that doesn't mean much, but it does mean much. Like there is certain things that they do have.
Yes.
I say that just because everyone's a little bummed FDA, but it does mean something that it has been put through the ringer.
It's been around forever. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's something, and I even talked to, I went recently back, I don't even know when, back before Halloween, I went to a party at my esthetician's the med spa that I go to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I met her Allergan. Is it Allergan?
Allergan, yes.
The rep that she gets her stuff done. And the rep was there and we were talking and I had asked her about breastfeeding because I'm still breastfeeding and I was at the time and I'm itching. And I've talked to people before because I have plenty of friends who have gotten it done while breastfeeding. And I've talked to them and it's hard, but I'm going to wait. And I talked to her and it was like, what do you think? Like, what do we know about breastfeeding? And unfortunately, she said, we don't know a lot because no one ethically can test this out. I do know if you look up, there are studies, there's actually for anyone listening, if you're breastfeeding, if at all, there's anything like you're concerned about taking any medication while breastfeeding, it's called infant risk. I think it's the Infant Risk Center or infantrisk.com. If you look it up, it's out of some university in Texas and you can go and you can actually call them on the phone. It's like a hotline free.
Oh.
And you can talk. And I've done that before with flying on a plane when I was breastfeeding Spencer. I had to take Xanax because I'm terrified of flying.
Sure.
And I called because he was only 4 months old. So I'm like, can I breastfeed him? And they're like, well, he might get sleepy, but these are, they present you all of the research studies that they have. And they say, this is, and they compile it. And they literally look at all the research that they have available to them and say, well, this is what the potential risks could be. And this is what to know. And then it's for you to make a final decision. And they do the same exact thing. And they have a whole article with a bunch of legitimate research articles on Botox. And they said what they can't, Botox doesn't enter your bloodstream. Like, I think that's another thing. I don't think it goes directly in your bloodstream.
Somebody asked if it does.
Yeah. And it doesn't. Again, we're not doctors, but it doesn't do your research. And they tested breast milk because they can obviously test expended or expressed. That's the word.
Yep.
Expressed breast milk. And they said they found nothing in it. But the girl I talked to at Allergan, she said, we don't know. And she said, the concern is that, if you didn't wait long enough, if something were in your breast milk, we would never want there to be a risk where like that could paralyze babies' throats or anything. Like she's like, we don't know. Like that is a worry. Like it could do something. And she said, so it's just.
And they don't want to get sued, right?
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah,
most injectors won't do it. Like some injectors will.
Yeah.
Most won't because they don't want the liability that you could be the one off.
Yeah. And there's, again, like you said, there's not enough research.
Yeah.
And speaking of pregnancy, there was a question, skincare during pregnancy, what to stay away from. And this is a phenomenal question. And I get asked this question on my page quite a bit. Because there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. So things that you want to stay away from, salicylic acid, which is found in a lot of acne products. Sometimes it's hidden in moisturizers that are not geared towards acne prone skin. So read your ingredients. I hate when they do that because it helps to exfoliate. So if a moisturizer is, it'll help to exfoliate. Well, how is it exfoliating?
Yeah.
So read your ingredients, salicylic acid, because there is a possibility that it does get into the bloodstream. Benzoyl peroxide, another one for acne prone skin. Retinol. Yep. This one is a big no-no. However, there is an esthetician on Instagram that I follow who says she used retinol throughout her whole entire pregnancy and she was fine and her doctor was fine with it, which I find kind of weird. And maybe it's because I'm old school because I've been an esthetician for 18 years. Same thing. There's not enough research to know.
I know I was using it because remember you had
yes. I remember that
because when we met when I was pregnant, you were like, stop using that. She's like, I had no idea.
Haley's fine. She's perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's something you could do your research on, and you can, they even say not to use it when you're breastfeeding and things like that. I have. I was talking to Andrea and telling her I've how do you say tretinoin. And that shit's the real deal, retinol. Mm-hmm. And I started using it thinking Haley was done breastfeeding and I had to stop because she is breastfeeding again. So I just want to, but that's like compared to like drugstore retinol probably is fine. I'm going to just say that from my own experience because it's drugstore, right? The real deal prescription shit that literally the first time I used it basically like burned my skin off.
Yes, absolutely.
is probably not good. But either way, why risk it? There's other things you can use in the 9-month period, and you're not going to go backwards. You're not going to just all of a sudden, you don't have any of that. You have enough to worry about with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, my rule of thumb is just stay away from retinol, but also too, retinol can be mislabeled. Love that. It could be retinol palmitate, and it can be retinol with an A, retinol.
Isn't it vitamin A?
Vitamin A, yes. Vitamin A, and then the derivative is retinol. No, so just stay away from it. Even glycolic acid, that's a little iffy, depending on your OB. I will tell people, don't use glycolic acid every single day, twice a day. If you have a pimple and you have something with glycolic acid, then you can put a little glycolic acid on it. But always check with your OB. We are not doctors, but that is typically rule of thumb. Those are the few things that you want to stay away from. And if you get facials, tell your esthetician you are pregnant. Even if you took your pregnancy test that morning and you're going that afternoon for a facial, tell your esthetician, because she might be using things that should be avoided during pregnancy. So always just be upfront, and they'll have to abide by some sort of, privacy, HIPAA, what have you. So they can't say anything anyway. So don't worry about it.
And let them know if you're using retinol, because your skin might peel off of your face.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't lie. Just don't lie.
Don't lie. Please don't lie. That happened to me once. A client of mine, she had lied, and we did a treatment, and I was just like, so you haven't used that, right? And you weren't tanning, right? No. I'm like,
okay.
Your skin is telling me something different.
It's like washing off your face.
She was fine. Right. She was fine, but it's just like, oh, don't lie. Don't lie to me. No. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie to your person.
No. Let's see. What other questions are in her?
What does it feel like when you get Botox? Are there any reactions you've had? We talked a little bit about
Botox doesn't click in. It feels like a pinch. It's like a tiny little needle. It's like so small.
Nothing. It literally feels like nothing. I mean, if you've ever
filler, like if you've gotten filler, I got my lips done. That didn't really hurt, but they numbed me. Some places might use a dental block. I've heard that. Mine didn't. I just used that really numbing cream.
Lidocaine. Yeah.
But that was fine.
Yeah. The lips are definitely spicy, even when you are numbed. The last time I recently had filler, I had some cheek and jaw filler in November, and I didn't numb, and I was fine. Yeah. She was like, do you want to numb? And I was like, do I have to? And she was like, I mean, you don't have to. I'm like, let's just do it. I've had 2 large children, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. And I had a stress ball, and I just squeezed it when she poked, and it was fine. It really wasn't bad. If you have a phobia of needles, then that's a whole other bag of beans.
No.
What the fuck can I do for my sagging skin on my jawline, jowls? Maybe that's what it's called. Oh, the dreaded sag, the jowls. So this is primarily, what's that?
Gravity. Is there anything really to do with that stuff?
Gravity's such a bitch. Yeah. So this is like the jowl area. And it's funny. I've been feeling very jowly myself lately. I feel like this past summer I've aged 10 years. So topically, product wise, not really. Good skincare. Yes. Wear your sunscreen, all the things. But as far as like, if you're really feeling there is surgery. Not everybody wants to do that, but there are procedures that can help kind of tighten and tone the skin. One of them is called Ultherapy, and the other one is called Soft Wave. They're very, very similar, but it's targeted ultrasound technology. So if you look that up and read what it's all about, you'll know that that's amazing for this area. You can do the forehead, you can do eyes, you can do neck, and I believe you can do the décolleté as well. So basically what it does, the targeted ultrasound gets down into the dermis, which is the deepest layer of the skin. And it like kind of like heats it up, and it stimulates your body to create collagen. on that deep level. Because if we're creating collagen on the surface, I mean, what's that going to do?
Yeah.
Everything is living so deep underneath there. So that will, I mean, the before and afters from Ultherapy or Softwave, amazing.
Really?
So that that can definitely help. It's going to be more of a pricier, price point, or higher price point, I should say. But you don't have to go under the knife.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, long-term results. Some people will get Ultherapy done once and be happy for several years and then get it done again. And then some people get it done every year.
Wait, how do you spell that? Let me see. I want to look this up.
Ultherapy, UL.
UL, okay. And then
PH.
therapy, okay.
Yep. Ultherapy or Softwave, SOFWAVE. They're very similar. They use targeted ultrasound technology.
Let's see.
I have not had that. I would love to have that. Right here.
Oh, geez. What
Some
the
good shit.
heck?
Mm-hmm.
All right, hold on.
It's
Guys, I have
good.
to look that up. If you are listening right now, look this up. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. Who discovered this? They deserve an award.
Right? It's amazing.
Okay, well, that, and I want to now look up how much it costs.
Yeah.
All therapy cost.
Depends on how many areas you do.
It's an FDA approved therapy treatment that uses the power of ultrasonic energy. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, can cost about $3,500 total. If you add the aggressive full neck session, that will cost an extra $1,000 typically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's definitely a higher price point, but you're not getting a facelift. You're not being cut. And the results, they're bomb.
Yeah, the results look insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's, I mean, when you hear saggy skin and jowls, that's usually Ultherapy is first thing that is recommended.
Yeah, crazy. All right. Well, I answer that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so this is the one that I saw a lot asked for, and you can answer this because obviously everyone's skin is going to be different, but the order of skincare routines, the order of things, because I know for me, like vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, moisturizer, retinols, like what in the hell do you put on first?
What kind of a cocktail are we making here? So rule of thumb, thinnest to thickest. And of course, everyone's skin is different. So you cleanse, you serum, whatever your serum is. Vitamin C typically is best in the morning because it's an antioxidant. An antioxidant helps to create an extra layer of protection from environmental damages. Could be pollution. It could be just the weather's shit and it's nasty to our skin. Sun, UV rays, it creates an extra shield and it helps to fight against free radicals. So you cleanse, you serum, and if it's the morning, I would say vitamin C, moisturizer, sunscreen. So if your sunscreen is a physical sunscreen, meaning if it contains zinc oxide or titanium dioxide, that goes on the top, that goes on the surface because a physical sunscreen should be your shield. If you're using a chemical sunscreen, which is non-zinc, non-titanium dioxide, if it's like your Parsols, your avobenzene, any of those other ingredients that I won't even begin to try to pronounce, that is going to be first and then your moisturizer. So a lot of times people say, well, is this a good sunscreen? Is this a good sunscreen? What's a good sunscreen? Your physical sunscreen is going to be your best protection, your zinc and your titanium. So when you think of the two together, your physical sunscreen versus your chemical sunscreen, your physical is, again, going to be that shield. It's going to give you that shield of protection. So think of it as a storm door versus a screen door. What's going to keep more out? The storm door. Is the chemical sunscreen bad? Is it not protecting you? Not necessarily. But this one's going to be better. A physical is going to be better. So if that is if you're using a physical sunscreen, that goes on the very top. Gotcha. At night, you cleanse, you serum, maybe hyaluronic acid, you moisturize, eye cream. That's it. So thinnest to thickest. Don't make it complicated. If you have retinol in there, I would say cleanse, retinol, moisturizer.
Yeah.
And retinol is, like you said, it can dry you out, it can rough you up, but finding the routine and finding the sweet spot of how often you should be using retinol is different for every single person.
Yeah.
More often than not, I hear people say, I use retinol, or I tried using retinol and it effed me up. I was a mess. I'm like, okay, well, how often were you using it? It was too much.
Yeah.
Perfect way to dip your toe in the retinol world is doing it 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Thursday. Make Tuesday, Thursday your retinol night. If you tolerate that, perfect. Give that a good 2 weeks for those twice a week.
That's what I was doing before when I was using that treadmill before I had to stop it away right now, but I do it not even every other night. Depends on how my skin. Sometimes I can notice that my skin's getting a little dry and I'm like, okay, no, take another break. And the thing that I've been doing, what you recommended is because I had messaged Andrea 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was like, what's happening? I woke up
know your eyes.
Oh my God. I looked at Kevin. I was like, what
happened to me?
And he was like, what are you talking about? You always look like this. And I was like, if I look like this, I am going to jump off of a bridge. I was like, what do you mean I always look like this? I said, Kevin, I look like I aged 10 years overnight, not even 20 years. I was like, what happened? And so I messaged Andrea and I was like, help me.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. But I was like, help me. And it was because my skin had dried out and underneath my eyes specifically had dried out a crap ton. So they were all like extra puffy and sensitive and wrinkly. And it was just like a little scary. So what I was doing and what helped me significantly with introducing retinol was, especially a really harsh retinol, is sandwiching. So like I put my moisturizer, then like very, very thin retinol on, and then my moisturizer again. And then
Absolutely. The sandwich method is a beautiful method, especially if you are dry and especially if you are sensitive. 2 nights. And then if you tolerate that, you can do 3 nights, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then if you want to kind of amp it up and you're tolerating it after you've given yourself enough time to see if you do tolerate it, you can do 2 nights on, 1 night off. 2 nights on, 1 night off. Or do that 2 nights on and then like take several days off.
What is that? That whole skin cycling thing? You heard about that?
Yes. So that's not necessarily skin cycling. Skin cycling is using a product, a chemical exfoliant. So like a glycolic acid, lactic acid, kojic acid, 1 night, and then your moisturizer. And then the next night you use your retinol. And in theory, what happens is the chemical exfoliant, so you're not scrubbing, right? It's a chemical exfoliant. So your chemical exfoliant is kind of creating channels. It's creating more pathways in the skin so that your retinol, when it goes in, it can kind of penetrate in a little bit deeper, getting to the root of whatever you've got going on. So it's going to give you a little bit of a deeper effect when you do that. Now, doing 2 nights on, 1 night off of just retinol isn't skin cycling, but it's a different type of a routine.
Yeah.
Kind of like banging it out 2 nights in a row and then giving your skin some recovery is also a good thing too. But always you want to pair a retinol with a moisturizer. You never want to just retinol and go to bed. Yeah. You never want to do that. You want to make sure you're hydrating because it'll make you dry.
Oh yeah. I learned that the hard way.
We know that. Yeah. And also too, because you were like, I didn't put it around my eyes. I didn't do that. But retinol travels transdermally. So even if like you're experiencing breakouts on your chin and you're just putting retinol on your chin, and then the next day you go and get your eyebrows waxed, you'll have some skin come off. Yeah. Even though you didn't put it on your eyebrows, like why would you do that? It travels transdermally. So even though you're putting it here, it's affecting the rest of your face, not as concentrated as it was here, but it's going to affect the rest of your face. So be mindful of that. Yeah. If you wax on a regular basis on your face and you want to try retinol, you want to make sure you stop using your retinol for several days beforehand before you get waxed. Interesting. And then start it up a couple days after you got waxed because you don't want to irritate.
Interesting. They need to tell people that. Like, I know they ask the questionnaire, but like the moment they should make people wait a week before their service is booked. Like, you know how some people book their service the same day or like They should, or unless you have but if you haven't filled out a
Right.
history thing, they should make you wait a week and then
Yep.
send you a thing and be like,
Absolutely.
hey, today you need to stop using A, B, and C in order to make sure that your
Absolutely.
skin doesn't fall off.
Absolutely. Or the esthetician has to say, any changes? Are you using any retinol-based products or any acne-based products?
Yeah.
Because sometimes even over-the-counter, like salicylic acid, benzoyl peroxide, or even things that have over-the-counter retinol in it will do the same thing.
Yeah. Crazy.
So they got to ask beforehand too. Not everybody does. I know. They'll wax and it's like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
So have you used any retinol lately?
Oh God. That would be like my nightmare. Lord.
Well, now you know, the more you know.
Exactly. Well, and that's what this is all for. And there's a ton of questions which we can answer. You and I should have like a live
Yes, we should.
also. But we'll kind of wrap things up. But I think in just talking with all this, for anyone listening, like the biggest thing takeaway from all of this is, one, I hope you learn something if you're listening and, kind of can start there. Obviously reach out to Andrea, just because I can vouch that I've sat down with Andrea and she works with what you have. And you go through what you currently have at your expense right now. And she'll also give you recommendations and everything. It's great what you do. And I think it's so necessary, especially if anyone listening has teenage daughters. I wish I had this handy, because I'm 30 and I still don't know what I'm doing. And that's, or not 30, I'm not 30, I'm 32. Jesus.
That's okay. That's all right.
But it's like wishful thinking. I didn't know about this. I'm still learning. And that's the thing, is like, I did not know. And, teenagers, poor teenagers, especially, like they deal with this stuff. That's the time of life that you're dealing with all that craziness of your skin. And, all this boils down to just how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And how you feel about yourself, it shows. It shows. And don't we want to be the best version of ourselves? We want to radiate who we are internally and who we feel we are, because that is who we are. So if getting a facial or spending money on a moisturizer that you've been wanting to get, or getting a consultation or getting some Botox, that's okay. That is okay. It's okay to do things for yourself, because you do everything for everybody else.
Everyone else. Everybody else. And that's how you just drown. Motherhood, you will drown and you'll forget. And I've recently had a guest on today's podcast, actually, that I put out, and she's wonderful. She's in her 40s, a mom of 4. And she had said, she's like, people look at hobbies and self-care and things like that as, something extra. And she said, it's not. She said, that's your air. She said, that is literally your air to breathe. That is the thing that is going to fuel you. And we kind of put that to the wayside when we become moms, where we kind of think like, that stuff doesn't matter. And we define ourselves based off of, who we surround ourselves with. And the joy that we find is based off of people as opposed to ourselves. And she said, the joy has to come from you, like, first. And if you got to figure out what that is and what you're going to do. And, I always say it too, like, self-care sometimes gets a bad rap on, not a bad rap. It sometimes drives me bonkers on Instagram, because sometimes people are like, if you're overwhelmed or if you're burnt out or any of those things, especially as a mom or any of that, they're like, go take a bubble bath or go paint your nails and things like that. And I'm like, that's not going to solve it's not going to solve it, but
no,
it does not hurt. And it is a stepping stone to just remind you of you and hopefully help you find your voice again. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is like, we kind of get disconnected with ourselves and we don't know how to ask for help, and we don't remember who we are. And, if it's one extra thing that can kind of lead you back there and help you stay connected to who you are, go for it. Like,
absolutely.
Won't solve everything, but go for it.
I mean, it's pretty damn close. I mean, if the world could just get a big old facial, lots of extractions, the world would be a better place.
I need a facial. Oh my God. Actually, I think I'm going to go and get one soon. But.
Nice. I scheduled a facial. I'm getting one next week because it's time. I haven't had one in ages, and I've been going through a lot of stress. My mother-in-law has cancer for the second time. The audacity, I know. And ever since then, my skin has been an absolute mess. Yes, I am an esthetician, and my skin breaks out and my skin is a mess sometimes. because I'm human.
Yeah.
And just trying to figure that out. I know it's all stress related. There's nothing else that I'm, doing that could make it do what it's doing. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm getting a facial.
Good.
Getting a facial. So taking time. Merry Christmas, Andrea.
That's what we all need. That's literally what all of us need, is just like an excuse to go lay on a table and close your eyes and have someone rub your face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can't pour from an empty cup. You got to fill that cup up, mama. Can't do it. Cannot pour from an empty cup.
No.
So get the Botox. Get the Botox.
Yeah. Oh my God, I cannot wait. Trust me, everyone will know when that day comes. I'll be live streaming it. I'll be like, it's here. It's here.
Botox day. It's Botox day.
Oh, love it. All right. Well, so I will be sure to link Andrea where to find her, both on TikTok, Instagram. I think do you have a website?
I do have a website. Yes.
I'll link everything for everyone to check out Andrea, and you can follow her there. Again, I highly recommend just scheduling a virtual consultation with her, just because it's necessary. Just find out where to start. Find out where to start.
Absolutely. And I'm actually doing a giveaway. I'm actually giving away a free virtual skincare consultation.
Ooh. All right.
Yes, I'm doing a giveaway, and the winner will be announced next Monday. So yeah, if you're interested, go enter or reach out. Even if you have a simple question, I'm happy to answer any question that I possibly can.
Another episode down and way more to go. But thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support this podcast, I would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to share it with others and post about it on your own social media, or leave a rating and review. I cannot tell you how helpful and how appreciated those things are for me. Of course, to catch all the latest from me, you can follow me over on Instagram at The Very Merry Life, over on TikTok, The Very Merry Life. And even if you wanted to check out my monthly newsletter, you can do so by subscribing over at theverymerrylife.com. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more honest, raw, real chit chat. I have some amazing moms lined up coming on, and shit's going to get fun. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be good.